Christian Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Providence in the Story of Scripture, the work of God through creation, fall, redemption, and new creation, by Adamson Co. Foreword by Kevin J. Van Hooser. Narrated by Mike Chamberlain. Foreword. Kevin J. Van Hooser. The television sitcom Father Knows Best went off the air decades ago, not least because the show's title became increasingly implausible. Similarly, the idea that our Father who art in heaven knows best is one that people today struggle to take seriously, not only because of the perennial problem of evil, but also because of recent history, including 2 world wars and a flu that killed more people than did the combined world wars. Too many people continue to experience unjust suffering, hunger, and hardship on a daily basis. Is God there? And if so, does He care? In 1952, G.C. Berkouwer began his monograph on the doctrine of providence with a chapter entitled The Crisis of the Providence Doctrine in Our Century. The poet W.H. Auden described the 20th century as an age of anxiety, and the 21st century has only exacerbated the situation. The crisis has to do with making the reality of God meaningful in and to a secularized world acutely aware of the meaninglessness of matter in motion, the only reality many think is plausible given the rise of modern science and scientific rationality. Despite the enormity of the challenge, Berkouwer concludes his chapter on the crisis of providence by saying, "The Church must not lose her courage, nor the strength of her witness." Yet it is precisely the courage and strength of the Church's witness that the present situation has put into question. Is it only a coincidence that the crisis in the doctrine of providence overlaps with what the Korean-German philosopher Byung-Chul Han has identified as the crisis of narration? What gives rise to this latter crisis is the late modern awareness that our stories are constructed, man-made, rather than God-given. Whereas T.S. Eliot mourned the loss of wisdom in knowledge and the loss of knowledge in information, Han mourns the loss of narration and a surfeit of information. In the post-narrative era, the calendar is denarrativized. It becomes a meaningless schedule of appointments. In spite of secularism, science, and suffering, one still hears people claim that everything happens for a reason. The statement can reflect anything from a belief in karma, where the universe somehow achieves moral balance, or fatalistic determinism, to wishful thinking or coping mechanisms. In any case, it is a claim without a context, a bald assertion without a broader narrative that can explain away the sheer contingency of what is actually happening. Adamson Co. has written this book in response to both crises, of providence and of narration. The theologically correct version of the claim that everything happens for a reason is God causes all things to work together for good to those who love God. Romans chapter 8, verse 28. Paul's claim is part of the larger biblical narrative, what for Christians is the true story of the world, that Co retrieves in order to recover the sense that there is meaning in what, apart from the biblical narrative, appears to be but chance and chaos. In the creation narrative, God asks Adam, "Where are you?" Genesis chapter 3, verse 9. If the creation narrative is to orient us, then Co thinks we also need to ask, "When are you?" Clearly, we haven't yet achieved the rest for which Augustine says our hearts constantly yearn. When, then, in the story of creation are we? Co rightly sees that what people take as the true story of the world is the operating system that runs their lives. Many people, having accepted the story of modern science, believe we are inhabiting a physical world only, a realm of nature with no room for the supernatural. It is as though we are
Sample complete. Ready to continue?